All right. Wish I didn't have the headache. Hi, and welcome to the Thinking Out Loud podcast, a show with meaningful conversations in English with non native speakers. My name is Jedrek.
My name is Masha.
And we are two English teachers who
are big fans of Chris de Burgh.
Oh, you got me there. Who's Chris de Burgh? Who's Chris de Burgh?
Is it Chris de Burgh? Like Lady in Red is the...
lady. Yeah. All right.
Did you
all
get
right.
my
Yeah,
reference?
we are wearing.
Yeah.
Of course I didn't.
Sorry,
of course I didn't. But now, yeah. Yeah, we are wearing red today. Is it because of the Christmas time? It's not yet. It's not yet the Christmas episode. It's not yet the Christmas special. So
we like the color of blood.
Oh, that's that is a strong statement. Yeah, I mean, it's basically cold where I am. I don't know about Kiev, but in the south of France, it's actually very cold.
What is
that's
very
why
cold?
Very cold. By very cold, I mean something like, give me a second, something like 12 degrees.
Minus?
No, it's positive. No, it's not. Sorry, it's not the coldest. It's not the coldest days.
Okay. What is
of
the
late?
Coldest?
No, we had something like 2 or 3 degrees already, like maximum.
Plus?
The peak. Yeah, plus of course.
Okay.
And there is a slight negative temperature at night. So you wake up in the morning and you have to scratch, the window of your car. Is it scratching? Do you scratch it, or what do you do by removing, the frost?
Oh, I don't know. I scratch my cat in the morning.
What about the car?
The car, no.
Scratch it.
It's in the
scratching?
Garage. Well, I mean.
No, but I mean.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm talking about the verb.
You try and store it. You turn something on inside your car, and
no, but I mean,
it's much better than
you can
to scratch it, because you can damage the.
Yeah, I know. My wife has a fantastic method. She's basically taking a bottle of water, normal water from tap water, and she's pouring it over the windshield, and magically, the frost disappears, and then she's turning on the wipers. I tried to do it, and you know what happened? I basically I poured the water, I turned on the wipers, and all the water went, right at me. The wipers, swiping this water, all over, and I was wet. But yeah, I prefer a different method. I prefer again this kind of mechanical way. It's a combination of both scratching and cursing. So that helps
get
a bit.
into the car, start the car, and then you have
how
to
long would you be waiting?
I don't know. Doesn't matter. You just sit and enjoy
half an hour.
the view. No,
it's not.
You just turn this thing to the maximum, and it starts blowing this.
But it's still cold at the beginning. It's cold because the engine is cold. Everything's cold. So before you actually get any decent temperature coming off these vents, you have to wait, or even better, you have to drive, but you can't drive because you can't see things.
Yeah, I guess I leave my home, and my husband is already waiting for me, and the seat is already warm.
That's it.
The seat is warm.
He's working. I bet he's scratching and cursing. That's what everyone is doing.
I guess.
And yeah, and then the more you curse, actually, and the stronger are your words, the better actually you remove the frost.
You should write a book,
how to
200
defrost
pages.
your car. Yeah, I guess cursing is great for everything.
Yeah.
Whatever goes wrong in your life, you can fix it with a curse. All right. All right. If only
I see where you're going with this. Cursing out loud.
Cursing out loud. Yeah, always nice, cursing out loud. Not really. I mean, English language is so poor when it comes to cursing, right? In comparison with our languages, our native languages. I mean,
you can basically have a conversation.
You can have a decent conversation, intellectual conversation
in this language,
using
sub-language.
Yeah, sub-language. Yeah, using this sub-language. Fantastic. All right, great. Masha, what else is happening apart from wearing red? What's happening? But I don't know where in our industry. Do you know what's happening? Do you see the death of the course book coming, or something of similar
Nowhere
magnitude?
near.
Nowhere. All right, we're nowhere near. The AI is not yet stealing our jobs. Nothing really.
You never reacted to what I sent you, the latest something in AI. Kiss. They turned themselves into avatars, and now they became immortal.
But sorry, I didn't watch the video because it was like 20 minutes long, and of course well, it was like that, something like this. Or was it 20 seconds?
Yes.
That discouraged me. All right, but the point is that, sorry, I didn't watch the video, and of course I saved it for later, and this later, never came.
But it's not this video. It's the second news that, there are already people, and one of them is my ex-student. They are working on this tag, which will allow you to create your own digital Jedrek, It will look exactly like you, sound like you. It's going to be trained on you, and you can send it out there to live your life. To slave away.
I mean, but to send it where?
Teach
to some
students.
kind of a metaverse, or
no, teach students.
And then wouldn't even know it's not me?
Depends on how well you train it.
That gives me an idea.
So
it'd be nice if I could actually, because I remember that when I started my business, my language school, my language studio, because it was a small room, one person, and so on. I was thinking, okay, every decent startupper, I wasn't a startupper, of course, but every decent startupper thinks about scaling. How do you scale? We have a business model that works. Let's scale it. Let's make money. And the first problem I encountered was, of course, the fact that you cannot really scale the method so much. I mean, sorry, you can actually scale the method, but you cannot really scale the teachers so much, because each and every one is different, and so on. And that is the answer. Now I have got a possibility of cloning myself in the form of apparently a digital avatar. Wait, what about the kids? I mean, they are performing concerts. They are avatars. Yes. Or this is, of course, on the screen.
Yes.
Or is there a technology that's projecting their holograms, or what is it?
No, it's not holograms. I think it's VR. It's the next step. You put on these glasses, VR glasses, and it's like a concert.
All right. Okay, I get it. Because there still is a French politician, Luc Mélenchon, who had this kind of a digital hologram. I guess it was his hologram. In the presidential campaign, I think it was a presidential campaign of some kind of a year, and I'm sorry. And he was present in a big venue somewhere in the form of a hologram. So imagine this guy could run his campaign. It was a couple of years ago, when I think that it was the last presidential election, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Mélenchon is generally into, these modern solutions, and he's different than the other candidates in terms of how he's what he's wearing and everything else, and his political views. But the point is that he was there as a hologram, So I was thinking that maybe the Kiss or any artist could also have this sort of hologram, but it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of cheap, right? That the person is not there, but the point of this avatar is to make you fool or to fool you into believing that it's a real deal. It's a real person.
Well, I wouldn't say fool, because the virtual reality, I mean, what's the aim? To fool you? Up front. It's
to fool your senses, maybe.
Senses, yeah.
Yeah. It's not to fool you, like, because maybe you are aware that it's not, it's not them, especially that these guys could be dead. If we think about, I don't know, they're still alive, right? Yeah, because otherwise they wouldn't
be trained.
I don't know. I'm not. All right. After, taking so many drugs, they're still alive. All right.
And as for the industry, I saw this morning or last night, Meta introduced this tag that translates simultaneously. These are not subtitles. This is simultaneous translation to the speaker.
Phone calls or what?
And we could be having conversation now with you. You is speaking Polish and I'm speaking Ukrainian, and the translation will appear simultaneously.
But Skype is already offering this. It's awful. I mean,
no, they say it's pretty good, and it keeps
right.
It's.
So wait, Meta introduced this function into their messenger or whichever app.
Messenger, yeah, whichever. I'll send it to you later.
All right.
It's called Neuro Translator. Seamless.
Neuro. Whoa, that sounds advanced.
Yeah.
All right. Fine. So, well, I think that
why learning a language? Why learn a language?
Yeah. This question will, I think, be the top one question in 2024. Next year. I think, Masha, I know, we'll be doing some kind of a end of the year episode as well, right? I hope. I hope. So maybe this will be the time to kind of make some projections or I don't know, but I see that our industry is fantastic, in terms of the reaction to the AI and all of that. Suddenly it puts ordinary teachers like ourselves into the center of attention. We are actually at the forefront of what's happening, all these changes, AI, simultaneous translation, and avatars and whatnot, and entrepreneurial spirits are already, just how do you call this gesture? They are rubbing their hands, yeah,
in anticipation.
Exactly. Nice.
Huge profits.
Yeah, I think, but so far it comes down only to these aggressive Instagram ads. I haven't seen anything big, like really big, still the big players, I think they're assessing, whether this technology can come in handy or not, for them. All right. One final question before we go into the thinking out loud proper, right? I'm going to run my console, by the way, and you give me the permissions. And I wanted to ask you, how is your writing course going? Because I know that you started a super duper writing course that, tell us a little bit about it and about you and your relationship to writing. Are you already hating it or not yet?
Well, no. It's complicated because looks like well, it's a long course, and it's fantastic, and I've met some fantastic teachers and fantastic people.
Wait, is it live or is it?
No, live. I mean, what do you mean live?
I mean, do you meet teachers like, like there's a session with the teacher, you can ask a question and so on?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, wow. It's really super duper. I told you.
Super duper.
All right. So, okay.
And
Okay.
these
But
people, I mean, they're so in love with what they're doing. And I mean, I have,
meaning writing.
I had, no, they are, it's much deeper than that. First, you need to learn how to read properly. And you need to read a lot of people. And you need to understand, you know, epochs, styles, and a lot of stuff. It's very serious. It's not just how to write 10 tricks, how to write an article that sells. No.
Yeah. How to hack, how to hack your,
Or create
skills. Yes.
suspense or something. Like, no. I mean, it's really, really deep. And I had such an emotional roller coaster because there were 3 days in a row. From morning till evening, I had sessions. And first of all, it's from being elated to being so down because you look at these people and a lot of them are young, and a lot of young teachers, young students, and you think like there was a point in my life where I took a wrong turn, wasting so much time. And you comparing yourself with others. And some people have already written a novel, or they're working on a novel, or whatever it is they're working on. And on the other hand, you're so happy to be there to learn all this new stuff. And my brain, I think that my brain is going to explode, because I had a pretty solid idea. I worked hard on it. I mean, in terms of thinking on what I want to write. After these 3 days,
you have recalibrated your plans, or
it's not even recalibrated. It's just that every free minute I have a different idea. And all these ideas are, I don't know, swarming, crawling, flying, fighting. In my head, my brain, I thought my brain was going to explode at some
I
point.
guess it's something nice, isn't it?
It is nice. It is nice, but it's like the 3 days I forgot about everything, that I was actually a teacher, that there's a war in my country. And on Sunday night, I was like, where am I? Is this reality? No, I don't want it. Please let me
amazing.
back in.
But tell me what are the I mean, the course was like the 3 days, and what's next? I mean,
No, it's
is
only
there
the
an
first session.
assignment?
It's a
Yeah, is there
1-year
an
course.
assignment? Is there something you have to
You
write
have
right now, I believe?
homework, reading, and then writing, and then some exercises. Lots of reading. I mean, lots of reading. So yeah.
All right, that sounds interesting,
These live sessions are once a month.
and I wonder, as always, because this is the big question always. Do you really need to get proper schooling to be a great author? The same with being a musician, right? Because there are many bands, fantastic bands, made up of people who never attended a music school, or anything close to it. Of course, they learned how to play instruments, but I wonder actually what is the role of proper education in forming future, be it authors or musicians and so on, especially in these artistic fields.
Well, there's definitely this thing as, raw talent. But I think it's not enough. It's never enough. And you know what they say today, compared to people who, let's say, take one person who is very talented and very often blinded. They know that they're talented, they're blinded by it, and they think, I don't need any, education. And usually they are not hardworking, persevering. And then you have another who is not so talented, but very, very determined, hardworking, thorough, whatever. and you put them, and they are at the start line together. I think they say, I don't know, that's what they say, these gurus of whatever, Dweck and other people, that this guy has actually better chances of succeeding.
Because he has this growth mindset or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know, when it comes to art, I mean, I'm sure you must have some sort of talent. Otherwise, no matter how hardworking you are and how much education, formal
you
education.
You mentioned the knowledge of epochs as perhaps necessary to contribute or I believe to write something valuable. And how does it even, I mean, I don't know, how do you understand this? It is the same, I heard this many times when it comes to painting, that it's not like, you know, you have the canvas and you start doing whatever, you know, whatever comes to your mind, but you really need a thorough knowledge about the history of painting and so on in order to be able to maybe make a reference to something, play with the intertext. I don't know what does it was the equivalent in painting, inter picturing. But you know, what is the role of that knowledge, you know, knowing the cultural heritage of humanity?
Well, right now I have, you know, I have a lot. I need to digest all this because it's still it's all very raw. But I have this idea now that there are people, let's say in writing, in literature, there are writers who managed to catch, you know, this, let's call it zeitgeist. Yeah. So they are not writing an individual story, you know, what happened to them or their friends. They managed to understand. They create this collective image of certain, you know, things, events.
Yeah, like John Steinbeck and the Grapes of Wrath, right?
Yeah, okay.
It's the
and these people, they create culture, they continue culture like this, and it's impossible. I mean, it's so intertwined if you're able to look back and get some systematic understanding of what was going on, you know, what because imagine somebody, you know, from, I don't know, Alpha Centauri, whatever, an alien, wants to know what were people like, what was life like, let's say, in the 21st century. They have to look at something.
Yeah.
And of course they
so they look at our artifacts. Yeah, they look at what
if it's
we have
literature,
produced.
they will probably not look at, oh, who is just these writers was 5-minute fame. Okay, when it comes to music, they will not look at Gangnam Style, you know, this song. They will see
Oh, why
other
not?
people.
That's a cool song. It should be sent to space.
Yeah, not
as our, you know, business card of humanity.
So there are artists who create culture, you know, because they are able to capture this, let's call it, you know, zeitgeist. Yeah. And there are also writers who just write because they want to entertain people, and there's nothing bad with that.
Yeah, just like you talk about, for example, Dan Brown.
For some reason, that's also the name I had.
I mean, you know, because he's writing some, I would say, decent story. I mean, I just read, you know, 2 or 3 books by him, but you know, he's got some ideas. Or Colburn, you know, Harlan Coben, another one, big name, but he's publishing a book each year or twice a year or something like that. You know, so apparently, you know, he's like a little factory of stories.
Stephen King, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Stephen
If
King.
you read his books, I mean, you will not be able to understand what was going on at this particular time in this particular place. You know, what were people like? But at the same time, you know, I mean, you cannot imagine right now. We only had 5 books, the books that we call literature, that we would put in this time capsule if you really needed to choose somebody. You can't read all these books all the time. You need something else. You need a lot of other books. So there are also writers who write to entertain. They don't create history.
They may but they may accidentally maybe present something like our zeitgeist. I mean, catch,
but on the other hand, yes, if Stephen King has so many fans, it also means something. This is what people like. This is the kind of stories people like. At the same time, it's not. I mean, what can you compare it with? Shakespeare.
All right. Yeah.
So
it is not epoch defining or I don't know.
And you know, on the one hand, you feel so small because you understand that you probably will never going to be able to create something like that. You know, like that would
but
be
what
put
is
in a
what
time
is
capsule.
I see that, you know, the bar at your course is set pretty high. I mean, it's not like, because maybe the literature we talked about, this, you know, sorry, Stephen King and Dan Brown, this is actually, you know, high level, but you know, maybe thanks to courses like how to hack your writing in a weekend or something like that, you know, how to create suspense, like you said, so on. Maybe this is actually, these are the tips for these sort of writers that
No, we
just
have this
entertain.
writing. There are sessions on writing craft, for example, you know, how to create suspense, but it's not all, because it's so well rounded. I cannot even, you know, start telling you. And after one, for example, I had this when I texted you, you know, feverish almost. I was under this impression because it was I just finished the session with a teacher who is, I think he thinks that a good writer must be a good person, you know, like what I was telling you. And then the next session is this screenwriting, and the guy is like, you know, there is no the previous class was about your mission as a writer. You need to understand, maybe do you even have a mission? Maybe you need to think at least about it. And the next screenwriter, you know, this is what sells.
Coming down, you know, from
I was, yeah, and sometimes, well, it's like that. And then we had a fantastic teacher. She's because we have teachers who are Ukrainian writers or just teachers, and British teachers. They're professors at some university, and sometimes they're also writers. And there was one session on what is it, magical realism or something like that.
Yeah. That's the thing from the
God,
Latin
I
American.
fell in love, you know, with with this style, and you know that you can see that she's.
But did you know the authors before, like Garcia Marquez and all of
Yeah.
these? All right.
But she tells you more about this style, you know, and oh my God, it's just it's so great.
All right. Great. That is fantastic story. You know, I think.
So yes, I hear you. The bar is so maybe high, but again, it depends. It's not that they set this bar high. Some people do, some don't. But then, and I kind of feel it that, okay, the bar is so high. Am I really up to it? And then I decided, you know, even if I'm not going to become a writer, at least I will become a great reader, you know?
Yeah. You're right.
Maybe a little bit a better person.
Sorry, but what is it? Yeah. So tell us just a little bit about reading. I mean, this is also something I'm really into. In fact, you know, I may not be watching a lot of TV and so on, but I'm reading quite a bit. And what is it about reading that is there any knowledge that is necessary to know before you even open the book?
Yeah, but I'm learning to read as a writer. I need to notice how
Okay,
the
so
writer achieves what he or she achieves.
I see. So it's not really necessary for ordinary readers to know what's actually happening in the text from the perspective of the craft.
Not from the perspective of, but if you want to become a better reader, you have this, you know, reader come home lady, and she'll
Oh
teach you how
she's
to
fantastic.
become
Marianne
a
Wolf.
better reader.
Yeah, fantastic book, by the way.
Proust and the Squid.
And the Squid. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Great. Thanks, Masha, for sharing.
Everybody says that both, I think, her and then another Ukrainian philosopher I'm currently following. He's also talking about people you don't know how to read. They read a lot, but it just doesn't lead anywhere. A lot of people say that you need to read with a pencil. Pencil is the
I'm
second
doing it.
reader.
I'm doing that. But
I'm not.
okay, but second, what are you actually doing with the pencil?
Well,
Underlining stuff
yeah. What are you doing
or
with your pencil? I
I'm
don't.
just
I'm afraid to ask.
I'm drawing.
Sorry.
I don't know. No, I'm kidding. I usually, I have a strategy that
You can
I'm
chew on
marking.
it.
Yeah, I
That's
can chew on it. That's also what I'm doing. But I'm basically marking at the margin of a book. I'm just marking something. I'm not writing, but I'm just not even drawing, because it's not so much drawing, but I'm just putting a line that there is something important in that passage. So I'm not I don't like underlining the text, which looks awful later, but I just right next to the words that I find important, I just mark it for whatever reason, because later I may use it. I may actually retype it into my notebook, my digital notebook. But sometimes I just leave it there. I don't know. It's something that if something catches my attention, I do it.
I think even this, pausing,
Or language.
stopping, and just, you focus your attention, you maybe dwell on it a little bit longer. This itself, I think it tells your brain that, why did she stop? Why did she,
Yeah,
underline?
I would like us also to do a separate episode on reading and the role of it in language learning. But for that, we need Ella. So Ella, if you listen, you need to brush up on your English, potentially with some teacher, and then you have to join us, because we could talk about reading. I find reading, the more I actually read about reading in education, the more I feel like it is in fact hacking, tool for your progress in both, in whatever domain you are, or in foreign languages, especially. There's actually a book I'm about to read, Faites le lire, that is in French. And this is actually, according to the author, reading is also the answer to this, what they call crétin digital. Says this digital, what is crétin? It's like digital cretin. Is that cretin? Is there a word like that in English? We say cretin in Polish,
Like cretin? Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
word. It's a word, cretin.
But what does it work in English?
Digital cretin?
Is it? But is the word?
Yeah, it's a word, cretin.
All right. Yeah. Digital cretin, apparently. Yeah. So how to, so that reading can
Like
actually,
an idiot.
yeah, an idiot, exactly. Oh, I was looking for that word. I'm using it 100 times a day, and I forgot. Especially when I'm
It's
driving. You
cursing.
idiot! It is cursing out loud, after all. All right, great, Masha. Thanks so much for sharing your reflections from the writing course. I hope you will keep us updated if there are some thoughts that are universal, not just for writers, but for everybody. Yes. But personally, I'd love to write one day something that would rather a novel, rather than, a book on how to learn language, or how to whatever run conversation classes or something like this. I find it, however, maybe I might have some interesting insights into that. After all, it's been my life for the past whatever 13 years, or I don't know how long I've been doing this, but at the same time, I'd like to exactly catch a fragment of reality, and something that is local, but who could have a global meaning. That is the best, in all of the national literatures, right? You read a literature from Argentina, and suddenly you see yourself in it, even though it refers to some local stuff that is typical of the Argentinian setting. And that is great. And that is great in writing. That some authors, some writers can actually catch this reality. Very tiny fragment of it, and yet it is universal, right? It is local, but it's universal. Fantastic. I think this is actually what constitutes good literature, right? You have a local story with global meaning that is not reserved just to the people from your society or country or whatever. Yeah. All right, great. Masha, I heard that we also have a Thinking Out Loud proper in plan.
You heard?
That's
what we're doing. Let's play your sound. I'll ask you a question.
All right, great.
There was actually one question that it's not. Now I don't know what to ask you, because like I said, there were a lot of very smart people there, and they asked teachers different questions. And there was one guy who said, we were looking at I think Greece.
I will ask you, but is this a course directed to Ukrainians, or is there an international audience, or I don't know how to call it, clientele?
Well, teachers are Ukrainians and British.
Yeah, but what
students
about
are
the
mostly Ukrainians? Well, I mean, if you want, you can join, but you don't speak Ukrainian.
All right, because some courses are actually in Ukrainian language.
Some classes, yeah. Half are in Ukrainian, half are in English.
All right. Sorry, but sorry, I interrupted you. You want to say there are a lot of smart people who?
And one of them asked questions. We were looking at ancient Greece, and the virtues and stuff. And he asked the teacher that during the last, let's say, 100, 300 years, the discourse has shifted from virtues to values. And right now he says that maybe we should go back to even, as far back as ancient Greece to shift it back. And I was thinking, do you notice that? So that instead of talking about virtues, we talk about values.
Yeah, and virtues is something that is so obsolete these days, I mean, is that the question to me? What's the difference between virtues and
no.
I think
I wanted to say that during these classes, it's actually even you may pick up something useful for you.
I mean, it's a great question, to be honest, but it's a hardcore. The category is hardcore.
I have to think about it. My question
especially
is
that.
Especially that.
Yeah, I want to say especially that some values may actually be virtues, or vice versa, and but it's true, the
I
values.
just gave you an example of what I'm.
Right.
What atmosphere?
I'm already. I envy you a lot. The course. So once again, make some notes and bring us.
It's just so
the fruits.
Great to be a student again. I love it. I have two notebooks, pens.
That's great. I was something I promised myself never to do again. To become a student again.
I
mean, I am a student of whatever. The University of Life.
Oh,
which means as a parent or also as a learner of other languages. I may say that I am a student, but not in this formal setting. Where we have some lectures, some notes, some material to recycle, and so on.
Yeah,
all right, time to play this.
Round one.
Okay. So much simpler question. A no-brainer, actually. Sorry. Just to take the pressure.
Me. It's adapted. It's adapted to my level.
The difference question is always between aesthetic and minimalistic.
Great. So we have an asset. Asset, is that how we pronounce it? Asset?
Yeah, to my utter shame, I used to pronounce it as ascetic because in the Ukrainian it's
Ascetic.
asket. But
I will,
okay, it's actually not pronounced, it's silent.
Asceta in Polish, you know. I will, give me a second.
Ascetic.
Ascetic, and then is there a person?
No, the noun is ascetic. The noun is also ascetic.
Ah, okay, an ascetic. Okay,
so we're learning
an ascetic
a lot
and a minimalist. Yeah, we're learning a lot.
And a minimalistic.
It's not a shame. It's not a shame, by the way, to look stuff up in a dictionary.
It's a virtue.
I guess it's a virtue, exactly. And people and the values of these days are, you know, that you have to be perfect and, you know, impeccable and never even
flawless.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
all right.
bullshit. Yeah. So.
Well, it's a great question, you know, because it might seem very similar. That you know, this extreme, this extreme. The problem is that I have never pursued this minimalistic life. I know it's a trend in especially in the West, where all you need in your life is your MacBook and
your iPhone.
2 pairs of socks. Yeah.
How minimalistic is that?
How minimalistic is that? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, having an iPhone.
Hypocrisy.
But even if you look at Apple and their products, you know, I think they are sort of minimalistic, right? They are not,
right.
you know, if you look at what's happening with subsequent smartphones or even this iOS system, it's actually getting somehow more and more minimalistic. Less taps, less clicks, you know, but they get you to the same point. There used to be a separate button that you could click, you know, and that would serve as, no, there used to be, I think, 3 buttons, but not in an iPhone, but in an Android phone. There used to be like forward. No, sorry. What was it? There was a backward, this kind of arrow that said quit.
Remember.
But the old smartphones from Samsung or others, there was, because Android, the system, it had these 3 buttons, you know. Anyway, and it has been simplified, which means that right now the phone has just a screen, touch screen, and you don't even need any separate buttons, like, you know, go back or quit or something.
No buttons.
Yeah, there are no buttons. Yeah.
Ooh.
All you do everything with your gestures, like, you know, you if you want to remove the window or you know, whatever. Yeah. So this is minimalism, minimalistic approach, right? So we have less buttons, less taps, less clicks,
but it's
they
not
get us
ascetic.
It's not aesthetic, of course not. It's even, you know, if you think about the technology that is minimalistic, it's actually far from being aesthetic, because you know, now you can consume more of the content that takes up more of your screen, you know, and whatever, it brings you comfort and is accessible
and
much quicker.
In Ukraine, you have to work for like 1.5 months to buy one.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't eat. Don't.
That is aesthetic, you know. If an iPhone, that we discovered, you know, if an iPhone has anything to do with asceticism, it's exactly this, that you have to, you know,
starve
you have to quit eating, and then But to be honest, I think a modern, I repeat, modern minimalistic life is far from being ascetic. Of course, it's a very comfortable life. Of course, you remove all the clutter from it. That means, you know, unnecessary stuff like I remember Mark Zuckerberg used to have, I don't know if he's still wearing that, used to have only gray t-shirts. So there was like a wardrobe of 200 t-shirts that were all exactly the same. So that when you wake up in the morning, you don't have, you know, this, So
he probably threw them away. He never washed them.
yeah, I guess, oh yeah, that's a great point. But you see, the guy wanted to limit the number of choices he's making each day, because apparently as a CEO and who not, he had too many choices to make in his life. So basically he reduced at least this one little routine, like early morning dressing up. Okay, I'm taking my next t-shirt, which is exactly the same, like yesterday's t-shirt. I wonder if it actually influenced his the perception of him, like this guy is wearing the same t-shirt all the time. Does he even wash? But anyway, yeah, minimalism is about comfort, I think. The comfort of not making too many choices, not having to make these choices. I think minimalism is when you have this so-called box diet, so that some people actually opt for having this boxes with food delivered to them each day, because they don't want to prepare the meals, wash the dishes, and whatever. And I think if you calculate this, it's pretty much the same. It doesn't make much difference whether you prepare your food yourself and then wash and whatever, and of course you have to do the shopping before. So financially, it's pretty much the same if you order these boxes and they are delivered to you, and then you throw them out. They are all paper boxes. It is all ecological, and recyclable and so on. And I don't know. It's quite interesting. I know that Magda, who was our guest on the show here a few months ago, I guess, she was using that kind of, and maybe she's still using it. It's quite tempting, not having to cook, not having to again do the dishes and so on. It's interesting, and at the same time, like I said, financially it's pretty much the same, because you also don't do the shopping. Like, you don't have to stuff your fridge with a lot of things. Half of them get go bad in the meantime, right? Like these yogurts and so on. But they give you the diet that you need, that is well balanced, that has everything, and this is all you have to eat today: breakfast, lunch, and some sort of supper.
But at least the way how this minimalism was sold to me, it's not about not having to make choices. It's about fighting consumerism, for example.
Yeah, I mean, of course, there are many faces of that, and well, this is kind of hypocritical, right? If you think about fighting consumerism, because I think that this modern minimalism is actually quite a consumptionist in its character, because you consume less in terms of quantity, but you at the same time you spend quite a lot, I guess.
Well, not necessarily. Think of minimalistic design. Let's say, look at a room. There would be
It's like Scandinavian kind of style.
It's not about
but
minimizing choices you make. It's just about the things you need, things that are functional, probably. But at the same time, they're cute. I don't know. So you say that it's
no, I mean, there's a lot of good stuff I can say about minimalism. I love it in when it comes to, for example,
so in minimalism you don't sacrifice comfort
decoration.
for anything. It's not about sacrifice.
It's not about sacrificing comfort, for sure. You've got maximum comfort with minimum stuff. So I assume
I thought
that
you've got minimum comfort to kind of be okay with it. That was my idea of minimalism.
Again, I wish we had a guest.
Maybe that's
today.
An Eastern European idea. Of
Ella, once again, it comes to my mind. She, I sent her an invitation even for the recording today, but she was busy. But yeah, I think she's also a minimalist, and she would know more than I know. To me, because we have to be careful these days, because you've got all these fake minimalists and the
if we talk about true minimalism, right? For example, if I decided to go minimalist, let's say in terms of clothes, I would have to keep only, let's say, not Mark Zuckerberg minimalism, but I would have to keep today there are many people on Instagram who teach you about capsule wardrobe, how to have, well, it's how to create decent looks, having only, let's say, 5 items of clothes and a little bit of accessories. And it doesn't mean that you have to wear the same stuff every day. It's just a matter of, combinations.
Yeah.
So I would have to, it's not very comfortable. It wouldn't be very comfortable for me because I will have to make sure my clothes are always clean, because I only have, let's say 2 pairs of jeans and, 3 tops. So I would definitely have to sacrifice my comfort, at least at the beginning, at least until I develop, this routine. So but definitely, having only 1 pair of jeans would be too much. It's a little bit too uncomfortable for me. So it's a balance between being too comfortable and very uncomfortable. That's how I see true minimalism.
And in that case, the ideals of that minimalism are in line with environment protection and all of these things.
But if I decided to be experience what it's like to be ascetic, I would probably have to keep only 1 pair of pants.
And wear them all the time. But what is the idea of asceticism? It's actually to renounce all of the earthly pleasures and goods, so that you can attain this spiritual level that basically you favor the spiritual life over this earthly.
But I wonder if there's this suffering. Is it necessary? Is it seen as necessary, or it's just a byproduct and you don't really care?
I'm thinking about, because I think the word ascetic entered into our dictionary, and now we can also talk about a room that is really ascetic. In terms of, and what you really mean, it's minimalistic. Because when I think about an ascetic room, it's like, it's like a cell in a not in prison, but in a cloister, where you had these monks. Just all they had was a simple bed and maybe the Bible. That's all, and maybe a chair. Okay.
Yeah, but we also use another word, Spartan, and I imagine a bed without even a mattress.
Yeah, that's Spartan. Yeah. I wonder if, you're right.
Where does suffering come in here? Where does it even?
These are two. Very good. I mean, what would be actually interesting, Masha, would be to confront ascetic with Spartan. I think that because there is suffering here, there is suffering there, but for, I guess, various reasons.
Sometimes suffering, suffering can be a goal in itself, like because it makes you stronger. At least
I think this is the point of the ascetic people.
And I think the other way around.
Of the Spartans?
Yeah.
Why? I mean, Spartans.
Because ascetic, if you're ascetic, I mean, you will definitely suffer, but it's not it's not necessary. You're not kind of shaping your character. You just couldn't care less about all this comfort and stuff. Of course, it will come, because when you deprive yourself of so many things, you will definitely suffer, but you don't really care. While
No, because your
in
life is
Sparta.
somewhere else, right? Your life is up there, you know, in your prayers and contemplations.
But if you want to really have, if you want to become like, if we talk about a Spartan lifestyle, you want to become a great warrior. So suffering is a prerequisite. This is what you need to become stronger, both in, you know, flesh and spirit.
And wasn't that actually because, okay, I assume now, look at my logical thinking. I assume that Spartan derives from Sparta.
Well, cool.
And as far as I know,
well
they
done.
were warriors. Yeah. And as far as I know, they were warriors. The Spartans were warriors, or a warrior tribe or nation. It wasn't a nation. Was it a nation?
Not really. They were Greeks, no?
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, but
I know a little bit about
yeah. Well, you've had your ancient
Greek. So
yeah.
stupid after this. Okay.
But wait. And it wasn't it simply that, you know, they couldn't afford better conditions, because if they could, they would.
No.
No, the role was that you have to concentrate, you have to be physically and, like you say, spiritually ready for the battle.
Yeah, and
And
that's
the
why
discomfort that comes with the battle, right?
It takes certain amount of suffering and pain, and God knows.
But I see that Spartan, you know, Spartan conditions. The purpose of that was, it was a training. It was part of the training. You had to sleep. Yeah, you had to sleep on, without a mattress, you know, on something hard, and suffer, because war is the same, you know, and you just you have to get used to it.
Yeah.
And
but if you're a monk,
mm-hmm.
you don't see suffering as something that you have to go. I mean, you
don't even notice, maybe some.
Yes,
I remember the story. There was a story of Saint Alexis, or what was his name? It was basically a guy who was wallowing in vomits, you know, in excrements or whatever. But he didn't even care, you know, because he was living at a totally different plane, with his ideals, contemplations about God, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, yeah, this suffering that was there wasn't perhaps even noticed. It's just like, you know, if you're a writer with an idea that is sort of overtaking, you know, that you know, you could be writing your book without eating, without sleeping, without doing anything, you know, okay, just the basic functions, right? Because, and you wouldn't even notice. It's the same of I think computer games players, you know, they could be playing the game all night with
any obsession,
without noticing their discomfort, that they are tired, that they are hungry, that they want to pee, you know. And I think I think, but on the other side, but there was also something like, you know, this self-punishing yourself.
Yeah.
And this is also an element of ascetic life. So you actually, you inflict pain on yourself to be closer to God, you know, kind of. I think that was the idea. But then in this case, it wasn't like you don't notice the suffering, because you even evoke, or you welcome it. You welcome this suffering, you know, this pain that comes from whipping your own ass.
Or maybe only ass.
Yeah. Well, it's very interesting in any way, you know. And there is a common theme, which is the role of suffering. There is, however, no suffering, I think, in a minimalistic life.
My example with clothes.
Well, but what kind of suffering is that? You know,
well, I mean, for the 21st century.
Oh yeah, there's the 21st century problems. Yeah, the first world problems, maybe. maybe you're right, but I don't think, to me, minimalism is about removing the clutter from your life, but keeping your life at the same time as comfortable as possible. I'll tell you what, I saw a picture recently of a flat that was something like 10 square meters big, or rather small. And it had, yeah, I mean, maybe you know these, pictures. These were,
yeah, I know.
First, I saw, I saw such real estates from Paris, but
yeah,
apparently
actually,
now
another person
there's a
used the
developer.
example
There's
of
a
Paris.
developer. Yeah. There's a developer in Warsaw that is offering such flats, for students or whoever, So basically, you've got the door to your flat, and there's the shower right next to it, and then there's a toilet that serves also as, I think, a chair, and then you have a bed, and that's all. Big, okay, a small table, and that's all. And this is called a flat. And I wonder, if this is minimalistic, if this is ascetic, or if this is Spartan, or if this is
It's just
simply
inhumane.
scandalous. Inhumane, exactly. So again, it's it's neither of that. It's neither minimalism here, because you could have a very, very big space, and a huge flat that is minimalistic, right? There's basically air and not much, and minimalism is also about colors, right?
But again, this huge flat full of air, it will be just a hypocrisy. So you have a house.
but
my flat is my mansion is so minimalistic.
Have you watched what was it? Have you
Cursing out
watched
loud.
Blade?
Cursing.
Yeah, cursing out loud is, yeah. Have you watched Blade Runner, the new one? Blade Runner 2049, or
Ryan.
your favorite, Ryan Gosling.
Why is my favorite? The first time I
you
mentioned him on the show.
All right, but
he's a good actor,
he's a handsome
though.
guy.
No,
he's a good actor. Yeah. Anyway, it's not about. But you remember there was this corporation designing these what were the name, androids?
Replica.
Yeah, whatever, And if you remember the interior inside that guy's complex, it was pretty minimalistic. It was pretty minimalistic because there were no furniture. I mean, you had to just press the wall and something, came out of it. But normally there were no shelves, no bookshelves, nothing, just, very, very, I would say, sterile place. Maybe there was some fountain, some water, just somewhere, but it was all it was absolutely minimalistic, but by no way Spartan or ascetic, but minimalistic. So you can see that you can have very luxurious, morbidly luxurious interiors that are minimalistic, but this is far from ascetic or Spartan.
I guess there must be a different name for that.
For that, Blade Runner.
Luxurious and minimalistic, they don't go together. True. If we talk about true minimalism, luxury and minimalism, no,
they could go hand in hand. Absolutely.
Well, they don't. No,
they actually
must not. They must not. We must come up with a separate word for it.
This is against. Maybe you say that this luxurious minimalism is contrary to the spirit.
Yes.
Contrary to the spirit of minimalism, the true spirit of minimalism, which limit the consumption to. But if you follow this line of thinking, then you end up with this little flat, 8 or 10 square meters, with your toilet as a chair, as an armchair. Because if you say that, okay, we are consuming too much, we are taking up too much space, I don't know, we are spending too much, so why not? Why, if you follow this line of thinking, and then you end up with minimalism that has this kind of deformed minimalism, in my opinion, that offers you a flat that is just as tiny as only possible, so that you can satisfy your basic physiological needs, and that's all.
But there are
And
other
there is no
needs. You need to consider
other
other
needs,
needs.
aesthetic, but they're higher needs, right? They are higher needs, and I think that minimalism, yeah, maybe if we could look at this Maslow's pyramid or the pyramid of needs, maybe minimalism actually targets, these higher levels, but the basic levels, it's not about, because minimalism is not about having a tiny flat, in my opinion. Minimalism is about, the stuff that you have inside. And by the way, this tiny little flat, I wish I could show you a picture, but it's somewhere on my Twitter. And I won't be able to find it. But this tiny flat is anything but minimalistic, because everything is cramped. So it's cluttered. Actually, this is actually cluttered space. That is, there is no like, minimalism is when you have exactly the surface that is empty and not cluttered with toilets and showers, and tables and beds.
There must be something you can.
Tyrell, was his name Tyrell? This guy from Blade Runner, Tyrell, I think. Tyrell Corporation.
Something like that.
Yeah. So that yeah.
I know there must be something you can, refer to, or something like norms. For example, in Ukraine, I know that if you live in a flat, let's say 3 people, you live in one flat, and there is, let's say, I'm not sure I'm getting it right, but let's, for the sake of this conversation, let's establish the number of, let's say, 25 square meters. And if there are 3 of you living in a flat, like in my flat, 44 square meters, then you are eligible for some low interest rate program.
Credit?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
To get better accommodation.
Bigger, bigger flat. Yeah.
So it means that somebody somewhere in some, some state official with another state official decided that this is how much space a person needs in the 21st century.
Yeah.
Not to lose your dignity,
Yeah. Exactly.
So is it even legal that in Paris there are flats that are 10 square meters?
I don't know if it's legal. I mean, I don't know if there's anyone. I mean, there should be some sort of, knowing France, there should be some kind of inspection doing something. But I don't know. It looks. I mean, this is what these horrible prices of flats led to. Of developers, because in Paris, I think these are, you have one flat and you divide it into, I don't know, 5 other flats. But
and you rent
again,
them out.
there are but now there are developers who design such things. It's not like it used to be a one big flat and now it's 5 flats. No, it's designed like this. It's called some micro whatever.
In Ukraine, they're called smart flats.
Oh yeah, smart. Yeah, smart. It's very smart. Very
they're
smart.
Not 10 square meters, but
yeah. But there are projects like that. Great, Masha. I think it was
no clever conclusions. Yeah.
No clever conclusions about this ascetic, minimalistic, and Spartan, but a great conversation nonetheless, I think. And thanks for
in literature. It's called I don't know what it is in English, but I'm translating from Ukrainian. Aesthetic event. It must happen to you as a reader, and the writer's role is to create this aesthetic event. This.
Right. So
this, transformation that I was talking to you about.
Yeah. All right. Great concept. So Masha, once again, pay attention to your course and
pay attention in class, Masha.
Yeah. Bring us all the fruits from there. I'm stealing these virtues and values, and I'll be thinking about it a little bit. It's very interesting, but like I said, it's hardcore. And well, that's it. I guess for this week. Isn't that enough? Christmas special is next.
Christmas special. So, do we invite people?
Yeah, I guess we are going to finally to host a fantastic guest. To
fingers
talk about
crossed.
Christmas. Yeah, fingers crossed, exactly, because we haven't yet recorded it. All right. So, Masha, thank you for everything, for sharing your thoughts on the writing course, everything else, virtual avatars of KISS and others. And last but not least, this great
By the
question
way,
about minimalism.
Like something about the bright side. I think we asked different teachers on this course. Some students in this or that, forum asked the question about AI and the future.
Oh, great.
And all of them were absolutely without
Cursing
the
out loud.
slightest doubt, sure that AI will never, ever be able to replace writers.
Did you take down their arguments?
Okay, for the next episode.
Or do you remember?
Of course.
Yeah, I mean.
So that's
Right,
a cliffhanger. Great. If you want to know, listen to our next episode. So thank you everyone for bearing with us. And this was another episode of yet another episode of the Thinking Out Loud podcast. Stay tuned for the next one. Bye.
Bye-bye.